I think right now there is an indeterminate space in which feature-length work, work that can be compelling, entertaining, enlightening, may or may not exist in the same pattern of windows and expectations that it might have 10 years ago. May is a very gentle way of putting it. And so film producers need to be able to incorporate some knowledge of this vast expanse of activity that's happening online, streaming or video on demand, the changing nature of pay TV and cable. It's really changing in front of our eyes as usual again. So that the usual assumptions you could have about scaffolding out an audience and building a narrative about the future of your film is hazy right now. There's still a sense again that the ticket prices are a little too high, but that in general our consumers are still feeling as if they are getting what they expect from the business. We've done that by tightening up a bit, tent poling a bit, and also by experimenting. I mean, look at this last quarter that we are about to experience of the year 2014, and the kinds of movies that even the big studios are going to be releasing, from Inherent Vice to Birdman to you name it. There's a lot of kind of incredible, inventive, original stuff out there. Just this past week, I was on the Upper West Side at a commercial theater, the Lincoln Square. It's a great screens. And it was Sunday evening, and I sat in a completely packed theater, absolutely packed, and watched a movie that everyone there loved, even though a lot of them looked like me and older, and it was Dear White People, right? So it was definitely a diverse audience, but it was an audience that reflected that neighborhood. It was kind of, Alta Kaka, Upper West Side, New York types like me. And you realize that sometimes movies that you would think you would want to pigeonhole for one kind of audience or one demographic or one age group, good movies are good movies. And Dear White People just hit it out of the park in that theater. So I was so happy about that. When I started off producing 437 years ago, the phrase queer cinema was just being invented. B. Ruby Rich, a great critic, actually was the one who championed that phrase. It had a specific meaning at the time. It really meant not only content that was identifiable as produced by and for queer audiences, but also a kind of queering of the genres, a queering of the forms, making different, really pushing against standard modes of narrative. All that's changed. Clearly, LGBT content has entered into storytelling and genres and modes of narration that are very mainstream. And that's happened not only in cinema, but also, of course, on television, so that you now have shows like, Orange is the New Black or Transparent that are really pushing boundaries, not just in terms of LGBT, but Q, and I mean, the T now is becoming much more important as another barrier to be broken. So in a way, feature film now is a little bit behind what's happening online and in the television world, funny enough. It's funny, this is the first New York produced by, and I had forgotten that there were so many of my fellow film producers still alive living in New York. It's funny, we are not necessarily an aggregate here. New York producers tend to do their own thing, and we like each other a lot. We actually respect each other and support each other, and there's very little of that kind of competitive edge. We don't have that weird, oh, he has a parking space better on the lot than I do. But it's fun to see that everybody in the same place at the same time, because there's very little opportunity for that here in New York.